We have some breaking news tonight from the NHL and the Montreal Canadiens. Captain Shea Weber's career may be in jeopardy, or at the very least, he might be out for at least one more season or more. We'll discuss this evolving situation coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we had some pretty significant breaking news tonight regarding the Montreal Canadiens and their captain, Shea Weber. It's come from a variety of reporters. I think Renaud Lavoie of TVA Sports was the first ones to get it out there. I've since seen other reports from Elliotte Friedman amongst other outlets as well talking about this evolving situation. So apparently, as we know, Shea Weber is going to be turning 36 years old soon, has battled his career through a ton of injuries, and there is now a lot of concern over whether or not he can actually continue to play hockey, or if he does, he might have to be out for a significant period of time. So apparently end of season medical evaluations have not gone overly well for Weber. We know he was battling through a thumb injury that kept him out at the end of the regular season. He played through in the playoffs, and apparently that is a pretty significant injury. You throw that on top of all the other wear and tear on top of Weber's body. I mean, he's had left foot issues for a long time. He's had knee surgery before, all kinds of stuff between his foot, his knee, and now his thumb, and it's just kind of all adding up here. So it is quite possible. Like I said, at the very least, they're saying that he could be out for all of next season, maybe more, but they're kind of evaluating the situation and determining what his future actually does hold. So the Montreal Canadiens are currently meeting between him, his agent, the league, and the PA, trying to all determine here what course of action is going to be necessary. Now, of course, you would think with the injury history, he should qualify for long-term injury reserve if it's needed. But, of course, there is a possibility of retirement. I mean, we can't say 100% certainty right now that Weber is going to be able to continue playing. A lot of that's going to be more medical work to be done. And we don't know what the future holds right now. But one of the big things here coming up in just a matter of a few days is the expansion draft. And I think based on what the reporters are saying is that the Habs are hoping to have more clarity on this situation before they have to submit their protected list. But they might not be able to get a lot done. We're talking about medical stuff here in a matter of a couple of days. It's kind of tight on timelines here. So Elliotte Friedman mentioned there's a good chance that Shea Weber will not be protected for the expansion draft, given the fact that he has a long-term left on his contract. With all this stuff going on, it'd be pretty unlikely to be selected, you would think. I can't imagine, maybe the league comes up last minute and gives them exemption for Weber, because there are other players that are exempt from the expansion draft due to long-term injury. That was done, so I don't know if that's a remote possibility or not. But either way, he's likely going to be left unprotected if they don't get an exemption, which means that they're likely going to go 7-3-1. And when we did the videos talking about the expansion draft for the Habs and how they would handle it, we thought they might protect 4D, because those top 4D were so important in their playoff run between Weber and Petrie and Sherratt and Edmondson, that they wouldn't want to lose any of those guys. But now they're probably going to go a different route here. I mean, if Weber is not protected, they'll obviously protect the other three with Sherratt, Petrie, and Edmondson, and then they can protect an extra forward, because obviously before, if they go 8 skaters, that's only 4 forwards you can protect. And then you're going to have some guys like Paul Byron and Jake Evans, maybe Lehkonen. Like, there's going to be 2 or 3 guys there that were pretty, significant players that could be exposed. And of course, goaltender Jake Allen is going to be exposed for sure, unless something else happens there. They work out a deal, or he's traded or something to that effect. But the Habs are certainly trying to get things figured out here, and now they have this on their hands as well. And this would be a huge loss for the Habs, given what kind of leadership he's brought there. He was huge for them in the playoffs. On and off the ice, you can't say enough about Shea Weber as a playoff warrior and just as a leader and person on the team. It would be enormous if he's suddenly going to be out for at least a season, or if it was worse and his career ended up coming to an end. But if retirement ends up being the outcome of this, there could be substantial implications, given that he has one of those mega long-term contracts that are now not possible to do anymore, that they outlawed in an old CBA here. But back in 2012, I'm not sure how many of you remember how this all went down, but Shea Weber was a restricted free agent, and he was offer sheeted by the Philadelphia Flyers on a 14-year contract at $110 million, and it was very much front-loaded and a lot of bonus money. And the Nashville Predators were basically, if they didn't want to lose them, they were forced to match, and they ended up having to take on that contract. And of course, they since traded it to Montreal, but because of the way the rules were implicated when they changed the contract laws in the NHL, is if he retires early, the Nashville Predators are going to be hit with a cap recapture penalty, which right now, there's 5 years left on that contract, and it would be $4.8 million that would hit on the Predators cap for the remainder of that contract. That would be significant. I mean, the Predators would basically have to lose another significant player off their roster just to even things out. I mean, that would be a major blow to the Predators organization. So that would be absolutely huge. There's not too many of those contracts left in the NHL. There's still only about 4 or 5 other contracts that were, those super long terms. Like the last 3 years of Weber's contracts are only at $1 million. Even the year coming, he makes 6. And then I think it drops to like 3, and then it's like 1. So if he can play or get through another year or two before retiring, everything kind of goes down. But still, like if he's unable to play, they kind of need to determine how this is going to go. I mean, maybe he goes a long-term injury reserve and sits out a season and sees where things are at. And then maybe from there, if he gets rested up enough, maybe he can try to play a little bit. But if he's having that much difficulty, the odds of him playing 5 more years to finish that contract are pretty slim. I mean, like I said, he's played a very physical, punishing style of game. And when you play that way, not only is it hard on your opponents, it's typically very hard on you as well. So it certainly creates a lot of wear and tear on the body. And you could tell at the end of the playoffs when Weber, looking at him when they lost in Game 5 and the Lightning won the Cup, he was probably hit the hardest. And you got to wonder what's going through his mind. I mean, he knows what his body feels like. He might be thinking, this is the end for me. Like, not only might I not, but I may not be able to go anymore. So, like, am I going to be able to get back here? It's probably not going to happen. And it's kind of devastating to think about when your dream is being crushed like that. So it certainly kind of puts it all together. But like I said, we're going to have to wait for more clarity. We don't have a 100% definitive answer on what's going to happen. Does he retire? Does he go on LTI? What happens here? At the very least, though, I think it's fair to say, based on these reports, that Shea Weber is not going to be available to Montreal next year. So either way, though, that would create that contract cap space going back, either through LTI relief or if he did retire, it would come off the books. So, the Habs could be aggressive and go after another big-time player because that would give them a lot of flexibility. As much as they love to have Shea Weber, if they're going to lose him, at least they get back, $7.8 million in cap space. So that could be huge. And I'm sure Nashville getting the word on this tonight, and David Poile, they're probably pretty nervous, wondering what the heck's going to happen right now. Because if they're suddenly hit with a recapture penalty, like you saw the Canucks hit when Luongo up and retired, that would be huge. It's almost $5 million, and it's already tight with a flat cap. Like, wow, like this could be a significant development, and not only, like I said, for Montreal, but for Nashville too. So we're going to have to follow this story and see what happens. Obviously, we hope that he can take some time off and recover and continue to play. He may not play out the rest of the contract, but at least he might be able to play a little bit more. It's just hard to say. So stay tuned. We'll likely get more information here in the coming days on this Shea Weber Montreal Canadiens situation, and we'll hopefully be able to discuss more and see where things are going. But let me know your thoughts on this fairly surprising news here tonight. We'll discuss down below in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news and rumors on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.